Hey folks, Anna Maria Helt, microbiologist and herbalist here at Osada Natural Health. I was working outside today and thought I would just do a quick blurb about planting native medicinal plants in your garden. This is a great way to take care of our medicinal plants in the wild by having them at home where we can harvest them. Not that wildcrafting is a bad thing, but some plants have more pressure on them than others, and they're beautiful. So if you are lucky enough to have any garden space or a pea patch nearby to plant these things, or even a windowsill, it's a good thing to do. So what we're looking at here actually will do better in the shade than on a windowsill. This is Maianthemum stellatum, Starry Solomon's plume. And the stellatum part, let me get these flowers out here for you, is based on the appearance of the little star-shaped flowers. So this is sometimes called, let me just park it right here. This is sometimes called false Solomon's seal, but who wants to be called a false anything? It is used very similarly to Solomon's seal, but is a different plant. They are not the same, and not even in the same genus. So this is a beautiful native plant that can be found in the San Juan Mountains, where I live here in Colorado and elsewhere. It is a shade-loving plant. It will tolerate some sunlight. You can see some over there in the deeper shade. Really pretty plant. This is very easy to transplant if you do have any shadier areas where you can put it. As I had mentioned, this is used similarly to Solomon's seal. The creeping rhizome underground is what's harvested. This is another reason why I like having it in my garden, so I'm not out digging it up in the woods to use. I have an ongoing source here. So anyway, traditional usage includes for musculoskeletal issues, just like Solomon's seal. This is a demulcent plant, meaning that it contains complex polysaccharides that are mucilaginous. You know, technically speaking, they're slimy. They have a complex interaction in our body that soothes our mucous membranes, our respiratory membranes that might be dry and pissed off, our GI tract membranes. In the case of the GI tract, sure, if you're drinking a tea of the rhizome, it might be coating that membrane directly, but it's certainly not directly coating your respiratory membranes, which is why I'm alluding to kind of a complex mechanism as to how it impacts those membranes. But regardless, great for dry, irritated conditions like coughing, especially if you're having a hard time getting dry mucus up, dry, pissed off, GI tract issues, so you have really hard stools that are difficult to pass, things like that. Also used traditionally for cycle issues, menstrual cycle. That's not something I have experience with, so I can't really speak too much to that, but that is a use that comes out of indigenous usage here in North America from multiple cultures. Michael Moore cites that this plant, the leaves and the rhizome, has some mild digitalis-like effects, so some mild cardio-stimulating effects. Very mild compared to a lot of other plants, but something to be aware of. And indeed, another one of its traditional usage is for supporting heart function. But even if you don't want to use this plant as medicine, and you should learn more about it before you do, it's a great plant to have in your garden. So keep this in mind. If there is a particular wild plant you want to learn more about, are enamored with, are wanting to start, playing around with for health effects, one, make sure you know exactly how to identify that plant, but see if it's something you can transplant into your garden, especially if it is something that you would be using the root or rhizome of. So there you are, just something that crossed my mind as I was working outside today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.